Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I just watched Interview with the Vampire, the film. I had watched the first two seasons of the Interview with the Vampire show yesterday, and I sort of was thinking I should watch the film first, but I didn't have the time, and I've seen it before, so I just watched the series, and then it made me want to watch the film, and I'm glad I watched the film second because for me it's a lot better. It's a much more concise telling of the story. And it's more elegant and beautiful. And the TV series has its own merits. It has the time to explore some of the dynamics between the characters and a lot of stuff which I'm guessing was in the novels that people would have wanted to see. But I'm not sure if they got exactly what they wanted because they changed so many elements and moved so far away from it. But still, I don't know, people probably would have preferred the classic retelling of the story first, because people, whenever they are sort of fond of a book, they want to see, all of it adapted, and usually so much of it that doesn't work. So in a movie, so they usually do a more concise version, which does work. And this film is a good example of that when you compare the TV series and the film. Now, the first couple of episodes of the TV show are great when they're just dealing with Louis and Lestat, and they actually show them as being gay, and having that sort of relationship, not just vampirism as sort of, an analogy of homosexuality, actually literally homosexual, and also making him black in a different time period. They changed quite a few things, but it all worked, and they did a really good job of exploring it and his family dynamics and everything. It was really great. Then they had a girl, and her adolescence is as tedious as it would have been to live through, so those couple of episodes suck. But then once she comes back as an adult, it's kind of interesting, the dynamic and the idea of these people being abused by this person trying to get out of that situation, that relationship. It's very interesting and relatable, unfortunately, but it's interesting. But I don't know if any of it's really necessary to tell the story of Interview with the Vampire, but it doesn't hurt. You can have both. But for example, in the film, it's one scene where they go looking for the other vampires of history and they don't find them. And it's beautiful. It's just a little scene, illustrated with pictures that Claudia did in each place they were at and everything. And it's quite beautiful. In the series, we're stuck in the middle of a war-torn, I think Russia or Germany, I can't remember where they went, but it's just miserable, and this episode is totally wasted, and all they find is some skeletons in a castle, basically, and that's it. And a few examples like that where we didn't need a whole episode to explore that. Just one scene in the film did it perfectly. And then when we get to the vampire troupe in the film was terrifying. They were theatrical and dramatic and over the top, but they were also just monstrous and terrifying. Whereas in this, they're relatable, but they're just kind of, some of them are quite comic and tragic, and they're just working stiffs, basically, on several levels. And that's interesting to explore them on one level and to look at how it really would be if you were a vampire trying to live, in the open like that, doing a play and pretending to be a vampire and pretending to be actors playing characters. It's all very interesting, but I guess, like I said, you don't need it to tell the story, but it doesn't hurt to have it. And they did it differently enough that it has its own identity and its own purpose, I guess. And it would have been interesting to see what would have been done if they just did a pure adaptation of the books, like in their entirety, and just stretched it out and included everything, no matter how much they didn't think it worked on screen. And hopefully someone will do that. I don't think they ever did a mini-series or anything more, but I now need to go investigate this because I have neglected Anne Rice. I don't know, I guess it's because I wasn't a big reader when the film came out, because, when the book came out, it had been around for a long time, actually. I think it came out in 1976, I think is what I think that's how old it is. So obviously, it was old news by the time I heard about it. But it's a 1976 novel. So so that's probably why I missed that. But it became legend, and she'd do other books which were more recent than that. And I knew who she was, and I knew that there was this great book written about vampires, but I hadn't actually read it. So I now want to do it to see the differences and see what they used, what they adapted, what they changed. I was watching a video about it where someone else was talking about it, but it's not really quite enough. But I'm going to leave it there. I'm at 5 minutes, and I sort of wanted to do a comparison to a degree, not an in-depth comparison, obviously, but just the film. It's beautiful. It's iconic. It's very simple. It tells a really simple, strong story. The TV series really sort of meanders through a lot of things, but it is interesting to explore them because why not? I'm sort of the attitude, why not? Some people are like, no, just keep, the original and don't sort of mess with it. I don't think anything else done afterwards can detract from the original work, and I think you can have both and you can explore both, and I think it does to a smaller extent enrich the film. You realise that there is more to the story, and it makes you more curious about what's happening in between scenes and so forth. But I'm going to go before I get to 6 minutes. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Did I say that already? I feel like I've already said it. I always feel like I've already said it.